But the concept, there are things that pass down to us from generation to generation that we have to be aware of. Look at here, for Gideon, it says in Judges 6, 3 and 4, and so it was when Israel had sown, that the Midianites came up, and the Amalekites and the children of the east, even they came up against them. And they encamped against them and destroyed the increase of the earth till thou come into Gaza, and left no sustenance for Israel, neither sheep nor ox nor ass. So how does that apply to our life? This situation they're in, the sustenance, there was no sustenance for Israel. That's the survival for nowadays. The moment that you're living in, the hand to mouth, the food, the money, the situations that we need met every day, that's sustenance. What he's saying, for Israel, they had no sustenance. Their daily needs weren't being met. And as well, the increase of the earth was destroyed. So not only was their daily needs not being met, there was no increase. There was no future. So they were living a sort of limbo. There was nothing in their present, and there was nothing in their future. They were just living day to day. And what I'm suggesting is that sometimes as believers, we find ourselves in that kind of mental condition, that our situations are hopeless. And we're going through the motions. We got to get up. We got to go to work. We got to do this and do that. But we're living in hopeless situations where there's no hope for sustaining the present, and there's no increase or even hope that tomorrow is going to be any better. And that's where Israel was. But look at this. It says the Midianites came up, and the Amalekites, and the children of the east. So I'm going to share this with you. So who are they? Who were the Midianites? Turn to Genesis, the 25th chapter, the first and the second verse. Then again, Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah. And she bare him Zimran and Jokshan, Medan, and Midian. And Midian was a son of Abraham. So we hear these stories about, Ishmael and Isaac and Hagar and Sarah and kicking Ishmael out and all that stuff. But Isaac had another brother, and his name was Midian. Imagine that. And he was sent off. As we go down here, Abraham, but the sons of the concubines, which was Midian, which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts and sent them away from Isaac his son while he yet lived eastward into the east country. So these people that are oppressing Israel right now in this story with Gideon, these are relatives of Gideon. Think about that. Very important. Okay, so who were the Amalekites? Turn to Genesis, the 36th chapter, the first verse. Now these are the generations of Esau. Remember Esau? Esau was the brother of Jacob, who later became Israel. It says, and Timnah was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bare to Eliphaz Amalek. So Amalek was the grandson of Esau. Esau was the brother of Jacob, who stole his birthright. So you got to understand, these are generations and generations of people that are related to Israel that have issues with Israel. And see, we don't see that. And even further, look, it says, let's go back up to Genesis 25. It said, and when he sent them all away from his son Isaac, he sent them eastward to the east country. So when we're looking at the book of Judges, what it says here is who's persecuting Israel right now? It says the Midianites, who are the descendants of Midian. It says the Amalekites, who are the descendants of Amalek. And it also says, and the children of the east. These are the people that are persecuting Israel right now. They're all relatives of Israel. And so I want to share, as we're trying to turn this, understand this. These are relatives. We're trying to understand the correlation here to our lives today. We would correlate this to the issues we have that we've inherited from generations and generations before us. These are the inherited issues. Like we have issues like maybe addiction issues. Maybe alcoholism or drugs, or situations that were prevalent in our families and the prior families and the prior families. We have anger issues. We have abuse issues. We have so many things about us that we're being moved and led by. There are destructive things in our lives that nobody would choose to be destructive. Maslow said that, the most common basic human trait is survival. So why would we destroy ourselves intentionally? So the fact that we are destroying ourselves, because we're not destroying ourselves consciously, we are being moved by subconscious proddings, and these are issues that have been passed down generation to generation that are manipulating our lives right now and keeping us in a place of defeat. So understand this. And so when you're in that quiet time with God, begin to discuss these issues. And so that's what we have. That's what we have here. We see with the Midianites, the Amalekites, and the children of the east. They're all relatives. We have relative issues in our minds that have pushed us to defeat, for real.